So we're on Lighthouse Avenue here in Monterey, New Monterey, California, and I used to have a record store right here. Empty lot here used to be a record store, a bookstore. There's a nice bar right here. Some old, look at that old artwork. That's from the 20s, man. That's some old artwork right there. Some old advertising for some nice tobacco. All right. Yeah, I had a shop here for 20 years, the Vinyl Revolution. Did pretty good. It was a real nice place for a lot of people. Kept me busy for a long time. And I had to move it up the street about a mile in Pacific Grove, and I guess we're going to go there right now, right?
Yep.
Hey there, my name is Bob Gamber, and I've got the Vinyl Revolution. And I opened this store about 21 years ago over in Monterey. And now I've got the shop here in Pacific Grove. Originally, I was born in Miami, Florida, and moved out here in 1978 and worked for many record stores. I worked for Odyssey, I worked for Record Factory, I worked at Universes in Santa Cruz, I worked for Record Vault in San Francisco, the Record Exchange in Walnut Creek, Retrospect Records in Santa Cruz for a little bit. All right, this is the new shop right here. We're in downtown Pacific Grove. We're about a mile away from the old shop. It's a lot smaller than the old place, but it's a nice little shop. And we'll come inside. It's small. I got a lot of posters on the wall. Looks kind of cool. Got a lot of albums in here. Got a bunch of CDs. Got a little room in here full of CDs. You got your back room here. This is where the Tomb Weavers practice. Yep. My dad played trumpet when I was a little kid, and he also built a hi-fi system, and we used to listen to records every weekend at night. And he would listen to stuff like Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass and Baja Marimba Band and Ray Conniff, Enoch Light. Easy listening music, but it was still fun messing around with the records that he had. He had a nice record collection, and he kept all of his records immaculate. And I used to put them in order for him, and you know, just I had fun with the records. Okay, the records. We got a bunch of new arrivals right here. We got Raymond going through the new arrivals. He's gonna buy some of that. And all this stuff is pretty much the rock. You just pretty much alphabetize it, stick it in there. This is all a bunch of soul stuff, R&B, hip hop. Then you got like soundtracks that go all the way from here to the other side. I've got a couple of Beatles records up here. Some old Beatles stuff right here. There's the old Sergeant. And then we got some old easy listening records back here. That stuff is pretty much dead in the water. Miscellaneous stuff, kids records. Got a bunch of classical records right here, the real music of the store. Male vocals, international, some opera, female vocals, country stuff, comedy records, more soundtracks, some folk records.
Some contemplation music?
Contemplation rock! We got little specialty items over here. You got the blues, picture disc, techno, reggae stuff, some prog, some psych. You got some fucking metal right here, buddy. That's where the old Metallica kids go. had an older cousin move in with us, and she was 16 at the time, and she had some, Desi and Billy, Dave Clark 5, Beatles, Beach Boys, Everly Brothers, that kind of stuff. And I used to mess around with her records when she wasn't around, because she'd kill me if she would have caught me. In 1965 or 1966, some friend of mine in school told me about an AM radio station in St. Pete, Florida. We lived in Treasure Island, called WLCY, and that's when I first heard Jefferson Airplane, The Animals, Jimi Hendrix, Blue Cheer. I used to listen to that stuff at night on the radio, and I couldn't sleep because it just kept playing those good songs just one after another. And then my dad used to get mad. He'd come in there and turn the radio off. Then I started buying the 45s. Then you start buying the full-length LPs. And at that point, I was pretty much into stuff like Jimi Hendrix, Blue Cheer, Cream, kind of heavy rock for the time. And then my dad brought home a drum set. He had a gas station, and some of the customers couldn't pay, so they would leave stuff with him instead of money. And one time he brought home a drum set, and next thing you know, I was playing trumpet before that, like him. And then the next thing you know, we get into the drums, and then a few years later, we had moved, and I was playing in some little bands in Pinellas Park, some little porch bands. We play on people's porches. And we were called Freelance Joint, and I remember we used to do Hey Joe quite a bit, and I was probably, 13, 14 years old. At that point, I was collecting records also. I was in a record club, buying albums, Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, the Woodstock album, 10 Years After, all that stuff. I was getting way into that stuff. I started working in a record store probably before I was driving in Florida. Working in record stores up until I was helping friends work in record stores in Florida. And then I moved out here when I turned 21. And in Florida, back when I was working and helping in these record stores, there was a band called Boot that one of the owners of the record store managed. And they were the couple of the guys from the Split Ends from the 60s Florida garage band. And so we used to hang out with Boot and go to their concerts all the time. That was a lot of fun. And then I moved out here and got a job with Odyssey Records, and then went to work for Record Factory after those guys, and then went to Universes, then went to the Record Vault, then went to the Record Exchange, then went to Record Asylum, then went to Beat City, then Retrospect for a little bit, just helping that guy out across the street from Beat City, and then my own shop, the Vinyl Revolution, and that's where we're at now. And in between there, I did some roadieing for Death Angel and for Metallica, and I played in various bands myself, played drums, so that's where we're at now. Listen to that guitar. That's that little amp that you found in the garbage.
Well, I met Bob about, I want to say 3-4 years ago at his old shop down on Lighthouse. And he showed me a lot of good music. I've been coming here all the time, just listening to music, kicking back.
We met at the store called Record Asylum on Lighthouse, which is now where the Sakura's Japanese restaurant is. There's a little hole in the wall. It was much smaller than this, and he just coming off from Walnut Creek with a van full of records, old British heavy metal records, and I was at the time way into like the Bay Area thrash scene and like all those bands and other stuff too. But so we just met.
$19.69 and up. I think it's freaking.
All right. This is what the store is supposed to do.
$25.92.
Some plastic here?
Of course.
There you go, sir.
Alrighty. We're selling a Boa record here. This is the old Wrong Road. It's C Hook, buddy. You know that C Hook right there with that SG and an eye patch on? Look at that old hat too, dude. It's like looking pretty fucked up. C Hook.
Use cash at your local record stores. Use cash. Credit card. Companies take all your money.
86.
Bob's lucky I'm a working woman.
I'm lucky that she's got jobs on her days off. Extra record money. That's what that was, right?
Yeah.
Your extra record money day.
Everything I have, I'll give it to him.
The whole day, huh?
Kinda. Tape.
Cassette tapes. She's buying tapes.
Tape and film aren't dead.
Okay. Let's talk about this picture. That's a friend of mine, Bruce, that helps me out at the shop. He actually helped build the original shop. He's a carpenter and a painter. And he's also an artist, and he drew that. It's back before I opened that shop. We used to do a lot of fishing. And when I opened that shop over there was a little colony of kitties hanging around that shop that I used to feed. So Bruce did that artwork. That's my comic version of myself. And then this one right here, there's an original Jimi Hendrix album cover. That one wasn't allowed to even get put out over here. So that's a nice one. Cool. That's an original old Chocolate Watch Band flyer that Mark Loomis gave me. That's pretty cool. He used to hang out with us over in Santa Cruz. And then another guy used to come and hang out, Sky Saxon, and he signed that record for me. He was in the Seeds. He was hanging out in Santa Cruz too. Well, I've been with music so long, pretty much all my life, and it's all pretty much been because of the records. It's brought me a lot of joy and kept me out of a lot of trouble and kept me busy. And so pretty much, I think records is life for me. That's my lifeblood, and it keeps me going. It's something to do. It's something to look forward to. They're a lot of fun. You can't get through all this stuff in a lifetime. That's, it's one of those things that you start doing, and you just, the more you get into it, the more you know that you got to do. There's just so much, so it's just going to keep me busy the rest of my life, I'm pretty sure. And I don't mind getting into it that way. I've obviously enjoyed it. I play music. I've met a lot of good people from the music. So, yeah. No, I think everything that I've pretty much done has been cause and effect. I do something, you got to do something, I've created my own fate. I pretty much do everything the way it's kind of dictated as I walk. Yeah. Everything's kind of fallen into place as I've gone along. I don't think I'd do anything different now. You can't learn about a bunch of stuff and then in the future and then go back and change what you've done because of what you've learned. You can't do that. I don't know if I ever really had a dream. I think being able to survive and do what you want to do and have fun and look at life the way you want to look at it and be free to do that and not be encumbered by anything that might take that away is pretty much something that you do daily, and it keeps you motivated and it keeps you happy. and you don't really even know that it's happening. It's almost like people take it for granted when they're content. You know, it's just something that keeps you going. It's a good feeling to know. Well, just keep playing music, keep playing records, keep buying records, and keep having fun. So, Metallica stuff, huh? Well, this is a little holy grail right here. This is a grail of metal tape trading right here. This is an original Metallica No Life Till Leather demo that I got from Lars back in, I don't even remember what year, but it was before Kill 'Em All came out. Cliff had just joined the band. They had Dave Mustaine playing guitar, and then James and Lars. I got a little flyer up here that he gave me a long time ago. It's got raccoon piss all over it from the other shop, but what the hell, it's still there. And then when, after I met Lars at a Motorhead concert down in Reseda, he sent me a letter, and he used to send me a big envelope full of flyers. And we'd hang the flyers up in San Francisco, and then they'd come up and do some shows. And that's basically how I ended up kind of helping them out. I had a Volkswagen bus. I was loading their equipment for them. So that's basically that. All right, well this is Zary and Greg, and these guys are brothers, and they had a record store in San Francisco called the Record Vault, and it was pretty much the mecca for metal back in the very early days. Before metal really started, we were doing a bunch of krautrock and psychedelic and garage music, and the metal was just starting to happen. And they went to England and brought a bunch of stuff back, and I was getting stuff over in Santa Cruz at a Universe's record store, and they used to come in and sell me to Live and the Rares, and then you know, they said they were going to open up a shop in the city, and they wanted to do the metal stuff that was starting to come out of England, the new wave of British heavy metal records, and so I went up there and we did that, and that's basically the store that Metallica came to. All right, this is a friend of mine, Bill Hale. He was a photographer back in the days. We were doing a magazine. Me and a few other guys were doing a magazine called Metal Rendezvous, and Bill was a photographer. And he put this book out here a few years back. And it's got some of the old shots here. It's got Ron Quintana, James, Dave. I mean, we're talking back in the early '80s here. Let's see what else we got in here. Oh, there's a guy that looks kind of familiar. That's me hanging out with Dave. That's a long time ago. I got the old metal up your ass shirt that Lars gave me. There's Ron again. Old Quincy, he still comes in the shop. To this day, that guy still rolls in every couple of times a year. And I remember doing the painting on these drum heads. I did the stenciling on that thing for Lars. And this is backstage Cliff, backstage at the Stone. And I was kind of like setting up equipment, tuning James and Dave's guitar, setting up Lars's drums. I had a Volkswagen bus and loaded them around the Bay Area. There we had a couple of shows. I was staying over there at the little pad in El Cerrito that was Mark Whitaker's mom's house. And then there's you got Ron McGovney. He was before Cliff. That's some old shots right there, man. That's old. There's those old Record Vault Venom shirts right there. You betcha. There's old John Strudensky. That's the guy that started the magazine. Some old shots right there, man. Yeah, there we go. Looks like Cliff and Dave. Yeah, this is the old days, man. This was back in the old days. Oh, here's a good one right here. Now, this is a fine little record right here. Yeah, so we'll have to ask Lars about this one. He'll remember this one.
Oh, I was
the
just
old
going to
Mithra.
say, where'd you put that?
Yeah, Lars will remember that one. And we got another one here for Lars too. Here's another one we're gonna shoot out to old Lars.
The Diamond Head?
Heavy Metal Heroes, buddy. He remembers this album. You know he does. Come on, Lars. You remember this one. All right, this was for Lars. I know Lars remembers this sucker. You know he does. Come on, Lars.
From the dawn of the dungeon, you know, down to the bloody gates of hell, men on their knees dying, running after rapist now. We will survive, I say, from this morning on the evil invade. Love and the friendship.
Hey, Lars. Remember me? My name is Bob. I worked at the Record Vault in San Francisco and helped you guys out on some shows in San Francisco a long time ago. And Yufan here is making this documentary, and he hooked up with me at my record store here in Pacific Grove and wanted to do this little documentary and said he was going to try to get it to your management or something like that. So I just wanted to say, hey, I've been following you guys all this time, and I can't believe it, dude, okay? But anyway, I've been doing record stores all this time and playing music and having a good time, and still into music, still into records, and I'm glad you're doing well, and I hope you get to see this, and just saying, hey man, hope you're doing okay. Well, I just want to thank Yufan for being such a Metallica fan that he came in here and picked my brains for some of that old Metallica stuff back in the old Record Vault days, so he ended up doing a little documentary here in the store and interviewed some of my friends and hung out here the whole day, you know, seeing how the record store is being run. So the record store it's the Vinyl Revolution. It's at 309B Forest Avenue, and that's Pacific Grove, California, 93950. The phone number is 831-646-9020. I got an email. It's vinylrev@sbcglobal.net. And I got a Facebook page, so there you go. Vinyl Revolution. Thanks, guys. Hey, I've got a band called the Tomb Weavers, and we do 60s garage psychedelic music. So if you're ever around and you see the Tomb Weavers playing, come see us.